Hello and welcome to another Warno cast for the SD League Season 5, and today we start with the playoffs for Division 4. In the first round we have Underground Tunnel Enjoyer against Vladik, then we follow up by the Helen vs Prefire, Wreck Monkey vs Cindy 83 and Barkas 85 against Princess Evelyn. The first matchup will be Cheyenne Mountain Complex, also known as Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, against Vladik, who also has a different name here in the Pick&Ban phase and in game, Waterman, but Vladik will be what I will call him, just so that you know. And something we can see immediately when we look at the Pick&Ban of these two players, Underground Tunnel Enjoyer has a lot of these dice icons. That means those were random bans and picks. So he only picked his divisions and left everything else to Lady Luck, I guess. And in the end, the decision for the first map was Airport, where he chose 2nd Infantry Division, and the counter pick by Vladik was 2nd Panzergrenadier. The second map will be Kreide with 56 Jahr as the first pick and Berlin Command as counter pick. Mount River will be the third map if we need it. The playoffs are in a best of 3 phase for the first rounds. And that means that if either player will win the first 2 maps, we won't see the third map. But if there's a 1-on-1 or 1-to-1 in the first 2 maps, we can see a third map. And the divisions for the third maps were picked blindly. That means they didn't see what division the opponent picked. So technically mirror matchups are possible on the third map. But this time we will have 60 DE against 4E if the third map will be necessary. The first division I want to take a look at is the 2nd Infantry UK by Underground Tunnel Enjoyer. We can see 3 cards of supplies as usual, 1 CP. We can see in the infantry tab a lot of helicopter deployed infantry forces. We can see 2 cards of SAS. They are split in the deck, so I assume either of them will be for the early deployment and the other one maybe for later. Usually you see the cards next to each other, at least that's how I sort my cards. And 1 commander in the infantry tab. Artillery, actually 5 cards of infantry units, so quite a lot of artillery power. Tanks, 2 cards of Challenger, 1 with a leader trait, and 1 card of double vetted Milans. So not that much quantity and more quality. In the recon tab we can see the snipers with the airborne trait and air mobiles with the Lynx helicopter for some quick deployment. AA tab we can see again high quality with double vet on a lot of the infantry AA units. In the helicopter tab, Gazelle and Lynx, so some cheap helicopter support. And in the air tab, Harrier as AA support, so just some cheap planes but with 4 per card, more than usual for other planes that are more expensive where you have only 2 planes for 1 card and 2 HE bombers. The counter pick, 2nd Panzer Grenadier by Vladik. Similar in the logistic tab we can see 3 cards of supplies, 1 of a CP. Infantry squad, 1 leader card, multiple Panzer Grenadier with a Marder Milan, notably 2 cards with double veterancy, 1 card with just 1 veterancy for some higher numbers. The Sicherungs as a simple infantry unit without an ATGM or general anti-tank rocket launcher. The Pioneer Carl Gustav have a bit more meat with 10 men instead of the Panzer Grenadier with just 6. So some infantry meat, and we can see some airborne units for the early deployment. And the artillery tab, just 1 card of M109A3, but because they have no veterancy, there are 2 artilleries for this 1 card. Interesting, since he has some card slots with just 1 point for them, so he chose to use those points elsewhere. Tank tab, you can see the cheap Leopard 1A, 1A1s, and the heaviest tanks of this division, the 2A3 variation, 16 frontal armor, 20 penetration on the gun, and 1 CP tank. And the Recon tab, we can see the Fallschirmaufklärer, the airborne forces. So these can deploy a bit farther forward. The looks and 2 infantry units. Neither of them with special forces trait. One was 4 men, while the other squad was 9 men, a bit more fighting power. The anti-air tab, we can see Zwillinge, Gepard, Eihawk, and the Fliegerfaust as infantry. No veterancy on these units, just the Fliegerfaust with 1 veterancy. 1 PA 1A1 helicopter for some air support. And in the air tab we can see 2 cards of higher quality AA planes, higher quality than the Harrier on the other side. We can see Harrier HE bombers, the Tornado ADS AT, and the Seed plane. So that will be interesting to see if Seed will get into action against the radar-guided AA on the other side. On our first map, Airport, we can see Underground Tunnel Enjoyer on the left side in red and Vladik on the right side in blue. If we take a look at the deployment, we can see a sniper squad to hold this corner and actually a Lynx with a scout going all the way into the back to Bravo, while the SAS tries to get rather far forward to the zone of his opponent to threaten the CV in there. Terrier scouts for this corner, and we can see triple SAS all the far forward at Alpha. One going to this complex, that is very important. Was it? No, it's just one. Was it 2? No, it's 1. One going to this zone and 2 SAS units going down here to hold this area, and maybe, since it's on the side that's usually for the other player, in this case a blue player, might be an intention to push in this area. And another air mobile scouts going relatively far forward to secure this area. We have the Challenger Mark II as a leader, first taking this zone and then going to the corner of the southern zone and then threaten or support the units around here. The infantry leader will go to the center zone together with the Warrior Milan and the that's armed rifles, while 2 more actually going up here. That's an interesting deployment. So Underground Tunnel Enjoyer wants to threaten Bravo or maybe Foxtrot from the north. I'm not sure if that's really a good positioning for the early game, but we will have to see how it works out. While on the other side, for Vladik, we can see double upweighted Fallschirmjägers will face up against the SAS, together with the Fallschirmjäger-Aufklärer in the back, and the Jäger-Aufklärer also going to the same location, together with the Lux. So a lot of units actually for the south. So the SAS will have a harder time than I thought. And the weakness of the SAS is the IFVs, and that they can get shot from beyond their own reach. Since they have the Stinger, they can fight off... Is it the Stinger? Yeah, it's a Stinger post. They can fight off helicopters and even light planes. Since they have the high veterancy level, they have the high accuracy. So they're also strong against infantry units. So the best way to fight against them is to shoot at them from outside of their own range, which can be done with IFVs, or in this case the Lux, the scouting vehicle. And we can see here, Zwillinge also would be an option. We have the Zwillinge that go actually in this location as well, so they can shoot at the SAS from beyond their distance. Jaguar as ATGM support for the entire south and for the center kind of area. Panzer Grenadier with the Milan, the Marder Milan, will also help out, and the CV obviously. So a lot of investment actually in the south, and that should be enough to fight off the SS in my opinion. And we can see Eihawk going for the center area, the Sicherungsinfantry units just as a support and to secure this area in the north, while the Marder with the Panzer Grenadier will be fast moving towards the center zone in the north. And the CV will go first to the northern area and then to Foxtrot. Yeah, Foxtrot is correct. The Lux will give some support over here and probably get a fight with the units that were deployed from the red side in this location, together with the Fallschirmaufklärer. One more scout over here, and in this area. So we will have some early skirmishes, especially in the south and maybe up here in the north, depending on whether these units continue to move forward. There is only the IHawk for the anti-air coverage in the north, so the Lynx rocket, in this case Lynx AA with a AH with a machine gun, will be able to annoy the units in the north, while in the south we have the Zwillinger that can fight off the helicopter if needs be. So yeah, so much for the deployment. Let's start the game and see what actually happens. Based on the points, I assume there will be no early plane. So based on how many units are on the ground and how much points they cost, since the ASIS are quite expensive, for example, I don't think either player has enough points to really afford more airplanes. So the ground forces will be the focus for the time being. The light helicopters won't be able to achieve much, I assume. Maybe the helicopter in the north, but once the IHawk is deployed, it's likely to ruin the day of the helicopter. Sniper, I'm not sure about the deployment of the snipers in this area, since a vehicle can get close and kill them, and the snipers don't have much against vehicles. We have now a Harrier actually coming in. I'm not sure what the purpose of this Harrier is. Maybe to protect the helicopters, but the 2nd Panzer Grenadier isn't really known for their helicopter play, so you don't really need a Harrier to protect against helicopters in the early game. The Fallschirmjäger not meeting any opponents yet. The Lux probably sees those, or saw the Lynx maybe. And he is moving away so that he will not have to fight close combat against infantry units. The SAS in the south got corrected by their movement path, so they deployed further on their side and not on the side of his opponent. So that was probably for the better, given how many units there are for the blue side. The Lux did survive a shot by the Law, actually 2 shots. And now together with the Sicherung, the Lux is able to fight this back. One of the SAS is in the zone of the blue player, but there are a lot of units around it, so no immediate threat from this area and this unit. Sultan on the way to capture the last zone. Double helicopter actually in the north. And I think this Fallschirmaufklärer is now standing around in the open, so you should move this to safety now that the helicopters are on the way. And so far, not much going on. Oh, we have the first artillery piece already on the ground, the M107A2. We saw that Underground Tunnel Enjoyer has a lot of artillery units in his deck, so an early artillery piece probably tells us that he likes to play with a lot of artillery. I do remember one of the plays in Division 4 that used a lot of artillery, but I forgot if that was vladik. But I do remember on Black Forest that someone used a lot of artillery, that I was impressed just how well he did with his artillery play. Let's see if he will be able to do such a miracle here on this map and soften up the defenses on the other side. Challenger able to deal some damage against the Fallschirmaufklärer. We now spot the aeromobile scouts. The Tornado, the superior AA fighter, finds the Harrier, but is shot down by the SAS, triple SAS with their stingers, high accuracy. So that was a death zone for any plane. But apparently Vladik didn't know that yet. Didn't know that there are 3 SAS. But as mentioned, they can't fight back against units outside of their range, which makes a lot of sense. And that's how the Leopard can just get some free damage on them. There are no ATGMs here with long range. The tank is too far away to really help out at the moment. But gets a Springer though, so that's a nice pick-off. Not much going on in the north. The SAS got killed off with a bit of support. But the units deployed in the forest, not taking any actions yet. The helicopters shot the rockets and are now just standing around in the back, waiting for resupplies. Challengers coming in to threaten the center. Supplies and some aeromobiles for the south. It's a bit of a split of attention for Underground Tunnel Enjoyer. He sends his infantry units with helicopters to the south and his tanks to the north. Artillery not getting a hit on the Milan 2. Alchemigas just running over open field. With no direct tank support from behind, it seems a bit risky. And he probably assumed that there are no, or just few units in that area. But he's a bit lacking in tank support at the moment. At least in that area. Yeah, we're able to fire a shot from the south, but no hits. Zwillinge und Lux shooting at the links. Quite brave Aufklärer. It's just 3 hit points trying to rush into a zone controlled by his opponent. Yeah, not much to talk about at the moment, just some small skirmishes. There's a bit of a push here in the center now, but ATGMs together with Tornado, AT plane, not really up for success. But that's a problem I tried to mention previously. There is no infantry unit in front. He's splitting his forces, so he doesn't really have enough forces to push on either side. While Vladik is just being defensive, has his ATGMs, has his planes. And contrary to the south, where the 3 SAS can pick off planes, he has not just little, he has no AA in the north. So the planes and helicopters can just destroy everything. Challenger not hit. The Tornado still has 1 rocket left, so maybe we'll get this kill after all. But he has a bad angle, I think, as well. And Challenger does survive for the time being. Helicopters down south. Again, shot their rockets and then have to retreat. Units low on HP. There's this wall of SAS in this area, but apart from that, I feel like there's an advantage in most areas by Vladik at the moment. Maybe the investment in a lot of artillery pieces is partly the reason for that. The empty 175mm gun will be supplied in a moment, but we have the rocket launcher as well now, and a second 175mm. So he will have to get some value out of these units. And better soon than later. Challenger again able to pick off some units from afar. Zwillinge not fast enough to really get to safety. Oh, the Ihawk is actually under fire now. So that can be rather annoying if it gets hit. Currently not getting moved out of the way. Stunned again. I think it was stunned 2 or 3 times. But it does survive. Double Leopard in the north to protect this area. Nothing really done with the barrier Milans in the north, in the forest, just trying to hold this line, but there isn't really an attack coming from this area, so I'm not sure if that's the area you need to protect. But I believe Vladik could push in the south. He has a superior number in forces. Invest again in Zwillinge. And he has one Eyehawk for air support. Actually, the leader goes first. Well, the infantry units are on the move, but I think you should move your other units first and then go with the Sultan afterwards. Especially with the Challenger still in the area. Doesn't have a line of sight at the moment, but still, as long as it's around, you shouldn't just run in and suicide your CV. ATGM Jaguar goes down. Artillery continues to try and hit stuff. Marder Milan finds an angle to shoot at the Challenger. Oh, the Challenger is bailed out actually. I was wondering why it doesn't shoot back, but it's bailed out. Supply truck is already on the way and can supply it from behind the building, so that Challenger is likely to survive. At least for the time being. There are a lot of units in the area, so we'll have to see for how long. But yeah, the Sultan in a bit of a dangerous area. Not enough meat in front of it. And now the artillery shooting at the Fallschirmjäger can hit the Sultan as well. Actually, a Tornado ADS coming and gets the kill on the leader tank. And if it evacuates through the south, probably won't get hit by the SIS. And the zone was captured now by Vladik. The Sultan can retreat and won't get killed by the artillery. The Fallschirmjäger not as lucky, continuously getting hit. Does survive with 1 HP, but yeah, can't do much anymore. SIS not getting any value, so just very expensive defensive units that don't have a long-range ATGM. So due to the first initial push not happening, a lot of wasted points just sitting around basically. They can still create some value later, but yeah, not as much anymore. Or unlikely that will deal as much damage as they could in the early game. Till we finding the Zwillinge. It's a lot of AA kill on the, well, from the red side on the blue side. So maybe some planes will come in later once more AA pieces are destroyed. Maybe that's the strategy with the quantity of artillery pieces. You can see 6 artillery guns with shells and 1 rocket launcher already. I'm not sure if he has enough supplies to really supply all of these artillery pieces for a longer time. But yeah, due to the investment in artillery, he doesn't have as many ground forces. So if Vladik would push, he might have an advantage on the ground at the moment. If he waits for too long, maybe the artillery will reduce the points on the ground, and then that will change. One of the infantry units now going down in transport. That is a cluster artillery rocket launcher, but I'm not shooting really where there's a huge amount of numbers from the blue side. Gepard finding helicopter kill, second helicopter kill. Double Gepards actually. The SAS with the ISF now fighting against Panzer Grenadier, but the Marder can shoot from afar. So a lot of kills right now for the blue side. The red Saxon can take back the zone, but now the blue side has 222 points. So a clear advantage in the points for Vladik. Harrier comes in the area where the 3 SS are, so it's a suicide mission, but he gets 2 infantry kills. Not the SIS, however. So that's a bit of a pity for the blue player. One of the difference in the playoffs is that we won't have ties at less than 100 points deficit, but whoever has the most points, even if it's less than 100 advantage, wins the map. And if both players have the exact same points at the end of the map, the player with the last tick wins, I believe it was. So there will be no ties, but as mentioned in the introduction, if both players win one map, the score will get to 1-1. We will have a third map to decide the tie, basically. Panzermörser are under fire now. Link's from the southern flank, but not much they can do. Tornado AT now coming for the challenger, gets a challenger, gets a helicopter, and can make it out alive. SAS not good enough to take it out. So a lot of losses for the red side at the moment. I believe some units for the blue side as well. I don't have the kill feed, so I can't say exactly how much. But yeah, I believe the red side is bleeding more. And that might be partly because of the huge investment in artillery. So the question always is, how much can you afford? With how much can you get away? And obviously over time the artillery can create value. But if you lose the battlefield in the meantime, obviously it won't pay off. So you have to make it work somehow. ATGM gets a mid, together with the challenger, gets a kill. One of the SAS now went down to the Marder. Second SAS likely to die soon, but Gepard was destroyed by the Milan. So nice Milan 2 positioning now. And the Hell Arms links will move forward. I think the red side is lacking a bit with the ground-based AA units. Apart from the SAS that you deployed in the early game, there's now over here one Javelin, but he did have the updated AA infantry units, but didn't make any use of them so far, or barely use of them so far. Harrier will get the Milan 2, and the Ihawk gets the Lynx. So again, a lot of kills for the blue side. Tornado likely to hunt for the challenger. Might not have any vision though. Milan 2 gets destroyed by the artillery. And the Ihawk has to move due to the heavy artillery fire. Reinforcements quickly removed, like the move command changed due to the artillery fire. So nice micro here on the side of Vladik. Up in the north actually pushing at the same time with some infantry units in the forest. The Javelin will not be able to really fight back for long. And the Marder, if it gets too close, will get destroyed by the Carl Gustav. I was able to get away. But we can now see with the 81mm mortars as well, a lot of supporting units, but also quite a few infantry units and some tanks behind, so the red side isn't showing much weakness. And, well, the question is, does this Vladik destroy just as many units with his airplanes than Underground Tunnel Enjoyer with his artillery? Because so far the tornadoes have been picking off units left and right. And the previous SAS wall in the center is at least a bit weaker now, with just 2 instead of 3. I thought maybe one of them, the weakened one, might have died by now, but no, got resupplied. And you can just see a lot of shells coming from the red side, raining down on the blue forces. That Marder, having a bad day, gets routed and likely destroyed in a second. I'm just waiting for it. It survives for an awful long time. Does make it out alive apparently. I'm impressed. I didn't expect that. Tornado getting some more kills in the north. Leopard, I'm not sure if you should rush down an infantry unit. The Lors have 13 pen. The Leopard has 9 frontal armor. But, well, it got stunned. First shot, not dealing much damage. So Leopard will survive. Some units still in transport. Actually, multiple units. I wonder if Vladik should be more aggressive in this kind of situation, due to the heavy investment in artillery from the other side. But he gave Underground Tunnel Enjoyer enough time to really build up a big enough front line with infantry units, so that a quick push now is rather difficult. And technically, Vladik can stay defensive, since he has a point need. But, well, we can't just let his unit stand around due to the artillery, so a bit difficult. What do? You can't stay defensive, but being aggressive is also dangerous. Harrier trying to find a new target. Leopard. I believe that's a Leopard that got destroyed. There's another one over here, or the one retreated, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they're even fighting up in the north. And Tornado IDS got damaged by the tracked rapiers. They don't have the radar guided guns or rockets, so Seaplane not able to find a target. Neither of the AA weapons on the ground for the red side with radar. But I think the Tornado with the AT rockets made it out alive. So no gain, but also no losses for the blue side. And at the moment, not much happening, just a lot of artillery firing. Snipers now being called for the south. Some scout units to give some more vision. Some infantry units trying to fight over this mountain and forest up here in the north. It's interesting that they are putting so much attention to this area for both players. Not really where you see a lot of combat usually, while the center was almost completely ignored. City as well. We saw some damage against the SS earlier, but after that, not much going on anymore. There's still no ATGM in this area, and not a scout either, so not really the best defensive mix of units. While the big push now with vehicles coming from the south, from the blue side. Artillery shooting at the track rapiers while a plane comes in. And it shoots at the... Did it drop the bombs? No. So the Milan does survive, but it's out of ammo. Sniper's getting killed immediately. Lynx getting too close to the Eyehawk. And the blue units pushing forward, trying to capture the zone. Zoltan actually going forward as well, so apparently Vladik is confident that he will be able to take the zone. The Challenger that was in this area is destroyed. Just some infantry units now in his way. Some mortar fire on the position of the Sultan with some smoke to protect it. So not taking any risks. Jago has to smoke off. F-16 tries to get the Pito Lynx. Not able to get the kill so far. And artillery shooting at the position of the IFVs and tanks. Together with some rockets from the Lynx. F-16 now getting the kill, but one of them went down in the process. So not really a good trade, and it retreats over the enemy forces, so will likely get shot down. SAS getting the kill, so that the SAS were allowed to live for that long without much protection. Now biting Vladik in the ass. But he does have a point tick, so at least that's going for him. Sultan now under fire by the links. Smokes off, so it will survive for a moment longer. Tornado did drop the bombs, but no kill, I believe. It's really annoying for Vladik that he can't really supply anywhere because constantly artillery is shooting at the location where his units are standing around. And he probably can't use a Mörser for constant smoke because he has to run away from counter battery. And likely artillery will shoot eventually at this corner with the Sultan. So while that's a dangerous pass, the air mobile can kill this transport if it gets through this road. Jäger Aufklärer able to unload just in time. Not even a second afterwards that the transport was blown up. Meanwhile, small skirmish in the north. The Leopard is able to give some firing support. So I believe the blue side will eventually win that battle. But here in the south, well, if those units move forward, I think they would be enough to break through. But there's still a bunch of units up here in the center. And obviously Vladik also doesn't know. Milan 2 is still out of ammo. Probably one of the things he could have done by now is just to use some IFB, some Marders to kill these infantry units. Once he realizes there's no ATGM, that they can just stand around here forever and even threaten the reinforcement road. There's some artillery now coming in, but that's a bit late now, I feel. Gepard for the south. And it's also a dangerous location when you know the Milan 2 is around. If it gets resupplied, could be dangerous to stand around in the open in this area. I guess the question now is, can the red forces push in any location to get a point tick? Because he has more than 300 points to make up for. And so far it looks relatively difficult. He tries it with a push in the north now, apparently, with multiple helicopters coming in, but Fliegerfaust, Gepard and an Ihawk over here will protect the skies from the helicopters getting anywhere too close. And now infantry units, once deployed, will get under fire. Tornado AT shooting at the Challenger, but will likely get destroyed by the Rapier. Yep. Seaplane now coming in. Again, not a radar guided unit, so the seaplane not able to do much, gets a hit on the links, but there's still some infantry units inside. But HE bomber hitting 2 infantry units now. The reservist units stressed out very quickly, so I doubt the leader will even make it into the zone, and the Sultan of his opponent is already on the way to contest the zone if necessary. So very easy defense for the blue side. Bombing run by the Harrier will likely kill 2 units as well for the red side. Jaguar does get hit by the Ihawk but makes it out alive. But the push unlikely to succeed now. The Pioneer is still alive in this corner, but under heavy fire by artillery. Actually, CB coming in now, but still one law rocket and gets a kill. So yeah, this road and this area made it really difficult for Vladik. I believe if he would have cleared it out or dealt with that a bit earlier, then he would have had a way better time. A lot more losses over here than I expected, but apparently Underground Tunnel Enjoyer believed that there was no chance to get into the zone anymore. He was behind in points, just 10 minutes left. So despite the kill ratio being pretty similar, he decided his division is not for the long game. I give up. And Vladik takes the first map and his first victory in the playoffs for this season. And if we look at the kill score, kill and losses list, you see Gebhardt getting a bunch of kills. You can see the Tornado, as mentioned, did quite well. The artillery got a challenger as well. Another Gebhardt with some kills. So relatively spread out. On the other side, the SAS in the center, I assume, did get 2 plane kills. We do have the challenger that was probably in the southern zone that got the 2 Zwillinge. I can remember that. And one of the artillery pieces, Milan 2, obviously relatively a bunch of artillery units. That's what I wanted to say. A bunch of artillery units, obviously, in the kill feed for Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, since he had so many. We can see that the rocket launcher got 2 CVs, but apart from that, no kills, and not that many kills on the individual artillery pieces, so they didn't work out as much as he would have hoped. You can see the Milan 2, I assume the one in the south, got a few transport kills, but not really any major kills. I believe that's what pretty much bit him in the ass in the end. He didn't get enough kills with his artillery, and together with the failed push with the SAS in the early game, not able to really get a point take at any point. So, yeah, that was the first map. The second map will be Kreide. Let's start by taking a look at the divisions, as usual. The first division I want to take a look at is Berlin Command by Underground Tunnel Enjoyer. We can see 2 cuts of supply trucks and 2 CVs actually, so not as much supplies for him. And the infantry tab relatively beefy for this division. We see a lot of 10-man squads and 8, 9, 10, 10, yeah. But even though they have some shock traits, not really any special forces or other really unique and powerful units, just a good arounder, I would say. But with some veterancy in the stack as well. So we have to see how that works out, but not really impressive IVs either. So yeah, it's a division that is not really played that much, for reasons. We see M109A2 as artillery, some mortar vehicle, and 2 mortar carts as well. So Underground Tunnel Enjoyer seems to like his artillery and the mortars. I'm not sure if that would be in favor over the M109s, like another cart of those maybe, but I guess it's personal preference. And we can see in the tank tab that this division has a bunch of mixed units. We can see the American Abrams, we can see the British Chieftain, we can see the French AMX. So yeah, just very mixed up. Heavy tanks, medium tanks, light tanks, ambitos, 1 command tank. This division has everything, but not really a focus on any part of it. In the Scout division, Scout tab, we can see Special Forces with 6-man, ATGM, rocket launcher, and grenade, the satchel charges. Double veterancy on this squad. So that will be the Scout for the early game, and double veterancy M160 with the MP trait. So that's also an interesting unit. AA tab, we can see a lot of AA units. It's a lot more than you can usually see, or most people play. And in this case, we can see double veterancy on the Javelins and pivots, Stinger, Mistral with 1 veterancy each. Gazelle with HA rockets and Lynx Hell Arms as helicopter. And in the air tab, Besides the Harrier AA and the Cluster Harrier, one of the specialty of this division, the Nighthawk. Really cool looking plane, very efficient. I'm a bit sad that he doesn't play the second one as well. But yeah, I guess personal preference. He preferred to use more activation points for the stack in the artillery and AA forces. Ah, what a shame. But yeah, we'll have to see if we can even make that one work out, because it's not that simple with this division. But yeah, let's head to the second division, 56 year for Vladik. In the logistic tab, we can see usual 3 cards of supply trucks and 1 CV. Infantry, 1 leader. We can see some double vetted infantry forces with the sniping rifle and anti-tank rocket coming in the BMP 2D. Yeah, it's a 2D. I wasn't sure if it's a 2D or a 20 for a moment. They have the Conquest missiles, so a lot of IFV support for those infantry units, and we can see the Afghansti actually coming in the truck, knocked in a helicopter. In the artillery tab, we can see pretty much the opposite to his opponent. Instead of a bunch of infantry units, he didn't even take the Nona or the Vasilevsk or Gvozdioika or the Gret, just some mortars, 120mm mortar. While in the tank tab, we can see T-62, one with leader, one normal, MD-1, and one with a 9M117 rocket. While in the recon tab, we can see the Spetsnaz crew with the Stingers and special forces and airborne traits. So these will be relatively important for the early game. The Razvedka with a shock trait, 2 of them, 2 cards, and the 1 scout with just 4 men for some sheep support as well. In the A tab, double Igla with double veterancy, and the Strela Ternheim with 1 veterancy level. And in the helicopter tab, we can see double AA helicopter, 180, 1 rocket helicopter, so a lot of helicopter support. While in the skies, or further up in the skies, I guess, than the helicopters, we can see double MiG AA planes, 1 MiG AT plane, and well, another AT plane for Vladik. So yeah, those were the 2 divisions. Let us check the deployment on our second map, Kreide. On the left side, we can see Vladik this time in red, while on the right side, Cheyenne Mountain Complex, also known as Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, in blue on the right side. And if we check the deployment, you can see a relatively spread out amount of scouts, together with some Fagot and AA gun support for the, well, I think it's highway called by most people, so let's say this is highway, because this is north, this is the center, this is south, so this area doesn't really have a simple name in my eyes. Or Crossroads would also be a good name for this area, but in general, highway or crossroads. And we can actually see, if we zoom in, we can see 1 helicopter as support, Igla, 1 tank, and 3 infantry units going for the south for Boris. So the bigger focus actually for the south, for the red player, the CV will go to the back zone first and then up the highway, and maybe later try to take the center, depending on how things work out. While on the blue side, for Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, I'm definitely going to get confused by the change of colors. Don't mind that. And I'm not sure why one of the units that is going up north is deployed down in the south. It's the Javelin, for anyone wondering. And we can see the Engineer Flash for the close quarter combat going to the forest, and the light rifles also going to the forest, and the CV. While the MX leader tank will try to take the back zone first and then go towards center with the special forces scouts interesting passing. It's interesting because both are going to the same location, but in different ways. One will take the fastest road and probably from here go over the field. I'm not sure. And a lot of focus actually for the north. So that might be a misinvestment. Depends on whether he can push forward in the north while not losing the south. But I think red side has a heavier investment in the south, while blue more in the north. And both players not really investing much into the center for the time being. But yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out and what else they invest in their first takes, and if planes come in for either side. So with the score being 1 for Vladik and 0 for Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, it means this is match ball for the first playoff match, and Vladik can win his first round in the playoffs by winning this map, while Underground Tunnel Enjoyer has to win this map and then the third map to win this round. So there's a lot of stress probably on his side. Harrier cluster plane coming in. Coming in as support. Not able to find a target yet. And the Spetsnaz crew with stingers might be able to take it down if they unload, but no. At least not for now. And the Harrier finds the helicopter from the red side. That's a nice pick-off. And the scout that moves through the open field gets quickly shot at and destroyed. So that was not the correct path to take. And the second scout might not be able to make it away alive either. Double helicopter coming in as reaction. But yeah, those are the Spetsnaz with Stinger, so helicopter's not really the great choice to fight them off. MX leader now under fire actually by rockets from the other side, so has to retreat. The engineers flash, able to handle the infantry units quite well, but BTA able to annoy them. Light rifles versus recoilless rifles have to come in to destroy them, but they're standing in fire, as it seems like. Pretty much stressed out. No hits yet. But the zone is under control by the blue players, so he has that going for him. But he is losing a lot of infantry units at the moment. And the BTR is not getting dealt with. Helicopters now coming in. As mentioned, the Spetsnaz crew with Stingers will likely be able to handle this. First Gazelle goes down. Second Gazelle is going down, but they are now out of rockets, so the grenade launcher not able to fight off against the helicopter as well. But the Gazelle out of rockets as well, so yeah, not achieving much. AMX under fire by the Conquerors, stunned down. Likely to be able to retreat. That would be big loss if the rocket still hits when it's... Oh, it does get the kill. Okay, I didn't expect that. I thought he would be able to get so far into the post that the line of sight breaks, but no. Meanwhile, a lot of points just sitting around in the north. They did deal some damage. He will be able to take the zone in the north, but yeah, those are units that are missing now somewhere else, at least for the time being, until they are rotated to another location. The leader for the red side will be able to get into the center zone, and maybe at some point into the southern zone. And at that point, I believe the red side will have the point take, yes. Because then he will have 4 points, or 4 zones, 4 points, while the blue side will have 3. And I believe apart from the... No, it's all 1 point zones. So no advantage from getting a back zone. And he technically has control over the zone now. When light rifles comes in to try and contest it, but the T-62 would be able to help out against it. One Eagler now coming in for some AA coverage. Two Eaglers already in the center. One of the mix also supporting the skies. I'm not sure if he saw a helicopter or a plane and that's why he's so scared at the moment of airplanes. One Eagler, oh no, that's not, yeah, that's an Eagler with a transport with an AA gun. Didn't have a command, so it's just standing around at the moment. But there's a lot of investment in AA at the moment for the red side. And he underestimates a bit how many blue forces are in the north, so he sends some infantry units that are likely to get killed. And once the zone is captured, if he can hold it, he will have the point tick on his side. I was wondering, since this is Division 4 and the players don't have a strong mentality perhaps as the higher division players, if after getting a 1-0 lead, it would be smart to play an aggressive division to put even more pressure on the opponent, and if the opponent loses the early game, that he might feel discouraged and gives up too fast as a result, and that you can get an easier victory that way. Just some mind games. The difficult part is to win the first map for that strategy. But I guess it would also be smart to just play comfort, what divisions you can play best, what you know best. Especially in the lower divisions where people might not be as comfortable with every division. You might just play the divisions you like. Like Berlin Command, for example. I hope we will get to see the Nighthawk. Still skirmish going on down here in the south, in the forest. There's a lot of clumped together infantry units. They are upwetted by the CV in the back, maybe together with an MP unit to give them the stress recovery bonus would also be nice. But such a blob of units always screams plane and bomb and big explosion to me. I would be really scared that they're just all destroyed in one bombing run. Or an HE cluster might also be able to do something like that. Eagler still in the back, not moving. Supplies coming in. Actually not for the units without ammo, but for the other units. Not that much going on at the moment. Both players just building up forces. We can now see the first Abrams actually on the battlefield. We already had the Chieftain, the British tank, now the American tanks are joining in. We had the MX at the start, the leader tank that was French. So Underground Tunnel Enjoyer does make use of this mix of different nations. But now the attack is coming in from the red side. T-62 from the back to support it, Eagler for AA support. A bunch of infantry units in the front. The BTR as firing support from the back. The Abrams is getting closer, so maybe he will make it in time, but he's a bit late. Attack already happening. Oh, yeah, Afghanistan able to leave the transport before it gets hit. And now the cluster HE artillery, I believe, got some shells in. But not able to get a kill yet. There aren't that many tanks yet for the red side, I'm a bit surprised by that. He doesn't have that many in his deck, I know, but still some firing support behind the infantry units would be good. bunch of units up here. But just for defensive purposes so far. Chieftain and Fox able to hold this area pretty securely. Oh, plane coming in, but just an AT plane, not a big bomber. And the first wave of mortars for Underground Tunnel Enjoyer, and he will start his favorite thing in the game apparently, just to Arty spam and destroy his opponent that way. The Zoo 23 down here actually, interesting location. Doesn't see the lower ground, so an infantry unit could actually move up and destroy it. But obviously the infantry unit won't be able to see it from there. Transports sent forward to just get some vision, some intel, and to soak up some rockets. The HE cluster taking aim, but not at the best spot. Expected some units in this corner, but no. Nothing going on in the north, nothing going on the highway, nothing going on in the center. So all focus on for both players at the moment in the south. You can see the first M109 artillery piece joining up with the mortars that are not unloaded yet. Oh no, it's not. It's not loaded. Or is it a mortar in transport? Yes. Okay. I was wondering if it's a mortar that is on top of the VAP transport, but no, that's a mortar that's inside the transport. AT plane finds a kill. I was too slow to read what it was, but it was not this Abrams, so at least that Abrams is still alive. I'm not sure, was it a second Abrams? I believe he bought two, so if that was an Abrams, that was a big pick-off. Underground Tunnel Enjoyer doesn't have many of those, and they are rather pricey. Is it 230 points? Yes. While the T-62 on the other side, just a 135 point plane. So maybe that's also an issue why we don't see the Nighthawk yet, because the units on the other side just aren't that expensive. So it's not worth investing a lot in countermeasures. And can be countered by the tanks and other units on the battlefield. At least as long as they're still alive. Another push by the infantry into the forest. I don't agree with the very hurt tank just rushing in and taking close combat fight against infantry units. That's usually a bad idea. AA plane giving some safety in the skies. Well, so far it does work out for the red forces, pushing out the blue units, and he will get another point tick in a moment. The hurt T-62 is pushing forward while the other one is just staying in the back with full HP. I don't agree with that. The other T-62 even further in the back. I mean, this one might have been repaired. But yeah, there are units from the red side that could get unloaded and pushed forward. Eagler still in the back, protecting the back road, I guess. And in the north, still no movement over here. I think with that many units, you should at least push a bit forward and get some scouting intel that way. And maybe put on some pressure. There is a +1 tick now for the red side. So Underground Tunnel Enjoyer does have to find a way to get a zone or contest the zone now. Otherwise, he will be in a lot of troubles. good defenses up here in the center. At least based on what he knows. With the lack of units over here. I think the two chieftains maybe could at least pressure the area. But the concourse is obviously very annoying. It has only one rocket left. And was that the Abrams? Oh, if I would have a kill feed I would know for certain, but I think that was the Abrams that just got killed by the MiG-AT plane. The leader damaged, so nice push and attack by the Red forces, who continues to put on the pressure and defend the corner of the zone. Cluster Harrier coming in now, so that can be really annoying, but it only gets one T-62 and goes down as well in the process. The MiG-23 helping out. HE cluster is moving so that it doesn't get counter-fired by the artillery on the other side. A little bit of skirmish in the north. More artillery pieces. It's 4, 5, 6. I lost count of how many mortars there are. 6, 7. Is it 8? Yeah, 8 mortars now on the battlefield. 2 shell artillery with a 155mm artillery guns. But yeah, the artillery again not able to deal enough damage. Maybe a bit too heavy investment. Or maybe investment in the wrong areas. But now the push from the north towards the back zone on the highway. And I think that can be successful. I think he has enough forces to make something work if he uses them well enough. Maybe with some patience. The motto Razvedka has to retreat from this area. But he has a lot of troubles down here in this house. T-62 now under fire by artillery. Looks like it will get destroyed if it's not able to move far enough. Oh, might survive with 1 HP, but you're out in the open. ETGM finds a CV, so that's a big loss. I believe the blue side has enough CVs still left, but yeah, every CV that gets destroyed is obviously painful. Light rifles getting destroyed by the IFVs and the tank from the side. So red forces able to push forward from Vladik. Nighthawk coming in now. One bomb goes out. Gets a very heavily damaged T-62. Second bomb now ready. Comes in. Where will it go? Nowhere. Comes in a minute. It stays back for the time being. I assume this would be like the primary areas or the T-62. And it does go out through... okay. I'm not sure what it was shooting at. Well, that was a bit of a disappointment, and now the tank and IVs can push forward toward the mortars and artillery pieces. So yeah, no vision on these tanks, so they have to move to protect their units. But as we can see, the red units just pushing through now. No more defensive units in front of the artillery pieces. AT may coming in, gets 1 kill, transport maybe a 2nd kill. Oh no, it has no rockets anymore. It has to fall back, but yeah, it's very annoying to have units in your backline. While the push in the north not able to achieve much yet. only holding a relatively defensive position, and his opponent still has enough forces over there that you can't just push through with an A-click. Me helicopter, also very annoying, can help out against infantry unit. One mortar after another is destroyed. Chieftain able to get one IP, but if they get close, maybe the T-62 can deal some nasty damage and maybe kill off one or two of them. Below moves through the open field with the chieftains in the air, but we have the MiG-AT plane coming in. One chieftain down. Plane is able to make it out alive for the time being. And the T-62 is moving forward, so he wants to get that kill. Chieftain firing at the Motrazvetska, but the T-62 on this close distance might be able to find a kill. The chieftain is stressed out, did get hit by a concourse or the rocket of the T-62 MD, and together they were able to get the kill. The chieftains are destroyed, so these units can continue their march into the back line. And yeah, not being able to use your forces in the north meant a lot of wasted points for the blue side, and you felt that in the source that he was not able to hold this position with the units he had, together with the investment in the artillery pieces. Now the Bellasaur will make it to the back zone. The artillery pieces will get destroyed by the PMP. And yeah, that seems like it will eventually, well, maybe the Nighthawk can deals out some damage, gets another very heavy damage T-62, and the second T-62 has one rocket left, so it was just one rocket against one of those units. I'm not sure which one it was. Yeah, but while there was nice damage, I think that was too little. And if Vladik wins this map, as mentioned before, he has a 2-0 victory in his first playoff match for the Season 5 of SD League. And at the moment, with a +2 ticking, 400 points on his side, a lack of units to protect his rear, he's just running through the field now, trying to make something work. But yeah, GG. He realizes or believes there's no chance anymore. And with a 1.56 kill ratio, Vladik is our very first playoff winner in Division 4 of SD League Season 5. Congratulations. Let us take a look quickly at the kill score loss. I'm always saying it wrong. I'm always saying kill score list, kill and losses. That's what I mean. We can see that the Spetsnaz crew got a lot of Gazelle kills. So yeah, these Gazelles just ran suicide into them. So that didn't work out. We have the Motrazvetka that killed the Engineer Flash in the forest. The HE cluster got some kills, but not really that many. I think the unit could get some more. But I mean, it also does some damage and stress against units, so maybe that also played a role. The Chieftain got destroyed by the T-62. And another T-62 was, well, not major kills, but still not bad. While on the blue side, Engineer's Dragons, MX-30 actually did get 2 kills. I'm not even sure where that was. And the Nighthawk just getting 2 T-62s. Not enough. Yep, so that's it for our first playoff match. So we can see now in the brackets for Division 4, Vladik advances into the semifinals. And I only now realized that I have it in German. So it's semifinals, round 1 and finals. I mean, round 1 and final were probably obvious, and semifinals probably was obvious as well. And Vladik will face off either against the Helen or Prefire, depending on their match. And then we will later see what the lower bracket will looks like. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.